So this event, you're bringing together an amazing group of athletes, financial professionals, entrepreneurs. Why do you feel it's important to bring together such a diverse group sort of in these sort of environments?
Yeah, thank you. So the Fonseca Group is a unique structure. It's a sports agency and private equity firm together. And the premise of this week was to really aggregate a network of people that we've developed over years of athletes, active athletes, ex-athletes, family offices, private equity folks, entrepreneurs, and some of the biggest blue chip brands that exist. And it's a bit about creativity, networking, seeing where there's opportunities to do business and transact. And I love the idea of building my networks and creating new networks and bringing people together that are like-minded.
So we've seen a lot of athletes wait until maybe they're about to retire to figure out that next chapter. A lot of the athletes we talked to have talked about they wish they understood private equity, venture, even real estate investing during their career. Any advice as you're sort of working with athletes that you give to sort of athletes during their career about sort of thinking about that next sort of phase of their life?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a different generation of athlete now than it used to be. I'll give an example. Buster Posey, in the middle of his career, we got approached by Body Armor, and Buster's, listen, this is interesting. This is an emerging brand, but I've made a ton of money off the field or on the field. Let's look at things differently. And so we structured the deal with Body Armor very differently, where Buster had a chance to actually invest in Body Armor a year before Kobe Bryant famously invested in Body Armor. And the mentality of the new next generation athlete is how do we look at brands differently? How do we take equity positions in business that we're going to help impact and influence? And so a lot of our focus now is being proactive and traditionally representing athletes, as we've always done, the traditional deals, but also building a portfolio of businesses where they can impact from a marketing standpoint, from investment standpoint. For example, Throne Sports Coffee is a sponsor of our event here. And the founder of Throne was the CMO at Body Armor that we invested with Buster Posey in 2011. We had a chance to invest in the business, and they're doing phenomenally, right? That's a great example of expertise, a real business, a real opportunity, coupled with a high-profile celebrity, an incredible capital he brought together, and I think we're going to go through the moon on that brand.
So we're seeing more of athletes on cap tables of companies, either through cash infusion and investment or through sort of the lending of their influence. Do you see that evolving? Do you see brands bringing those athletes onto the cap table in unique ways other than just through the traditional investment lens?
Yeah, what's interesting about it is historically, the old model was a brand would come in and say, hey, here's $1 million worth of equity in our brand. Will you do X, Y, and Z? And I'm in an interesting position because I'm an agent, but I'm also an owner of a brand and an investor, right? So I look at when I approach on behalf of the brand, an athlete, I want to make sure the athlete's committed. So for example, Mahomes wrote a check into the business, right? Buster Posey wrote a check into the business. And the mentality of an athlete is very different when they're actually investing in the business, writing a check versus gaining sweat equity from celebrity. And so it's an interesting conundrum, because as an agent, I'm saying, I want my guy to get the equity, right? As an owner, I'm saying, I want you to have skin in the game. I want you to actually write a check. So I think it's happening. Athletes are more aware of that. They're realizing I can have more skin in the game. And there's a combination. Sometimes it's sweat equity plus writing checks. And I think that's the balance we're seeing now with a lot of these types of deals. But it's now the wave. It's now a trend. And now ultimately it's about what are the strongest businesses that are standalone businesses, by the way, that now you can add some influence and some access and some visibility and some brand association with some of the biggest athletes and celebrities. And oftentimes it's not even the biggest athlete. It's the athlete that cares most about the brand. It's willing to roll their sleeves up and actually work on behalf of the company. We bought a hockey brand called Dao or Doused, which was one of the most iconic hockey brands of all time. 140-year-old brand that basically disappeared in the mid-90s, okay? But it has a massive, massive brand following amongst hockey enthusiasts, especially those that played, anyone that's older than 42 remembers the brand. Well, we bought 12 of the biggest names in hockey, current and former, that are writing checks as investors, and we're going to relaunch this brand and do some really interesting things. Every one of those people that are writing checks, yes, they are ex-hockey players, but they've got to believe in the brand. They've got to believe in the vision. They've got to be willing to work. They've got to be able to think about this business like it's their business, thinking about it as much as the CEO is thinking about it every single day. And that's a huge, huge difference that ultimately it comes down to, I have skin in the game. I believe in the brand. I see the market opportunity. You've got to have a strong business foundation. But once you have that, then it's about being strategic about who you surround around the brand.